When it comes to home insurance, Geico works for you. And since I'm the Geico Gecko, I'm here working for you too.
Hey, Gecko, can you record my voicemail greeting?
No problemo. You've reached the amazing Rita. She's probably busy right now teaching music theory to neighbourhood birds, or telling a total stranger how they can bundle home and car insurance with Geico to get the discounts they deserve. But rest assured, she'll get back to you once she's done brightening her little corner of the world. Did that sound all right?
Nailed it. No notes.
Let Geico work for you. Get more with Geico.
All right, let's jump right in, folks. We're going deep today, a deep dive into some really interesting data.
Interesting, for sure.
Yeah, we're talking about internet search terms, all about presidential pardons.
And not just any searches, these are yours. It's kind of like peeking into, the collective curiosity about this whole pardon thing.
Right. So what we're seeing is a real mix of searches. Some expected names like Biden and Trump, of course.
Naturally.
But then there's Fauci, Milley.
Even Liz Cheney popped up.
Yeah, Liz Cheney. Now, that's interesting, right? Because we usually think of pardons in a very specific context.
Exactly. And the fact that you're searching for these figures who aren't typically associated with pardons tells us something.
It tells us you're thinking outside the box.
Right. You're looking at the bigger picture, the potential scandals, the events that could lead someone to need a pardon in the first place.
And speaking of events, can we talk about the searches for January 6th pardons?
Oh, yeah. And preemptive pardons, too. Sounds like a political thriller, right?
It does. Okay, so we've got these clusters of searches. But what do they tell us about your focus within this whole pardon landscape?
Well, if we zero in on the Biden and Trump searches, it's not just about them as individuals.
What do you mean?
You're searching Biden pardons list, Trump pardon list.
Oh, I see.
You're interested in the actual pardons they've given, maybe to compare, maybe to look for controversies, who knows?
That makes sense. What about those searches for Hunter Biden and James Biden right alongside Trump family members?
Uh-huh. Now it's getting juicy. It seems you're digging into how family ties might influence the whole pardon process.
Right. Is that a thing? Like, can a president just pardon their family?
Well, that's a great question. And it's one that has sparked debate and controversy for as long as presidents have had the pardon power.
So we've got family ties, we've got potential scandals, we've got this fascination with January 6th and preemptive pardons.
You're really exploring the limits of this power, aren't you?
I guess so. It's also fascinating and kind of unsettling.
Unsettling, for sure, but also really important to understand.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork. We've got the big names, the potential scandals, the intrigue of family ties, and this deep dive into the legality and the limitations of preemptive pardons. Where do we go from here?
Now that we've sort of decoded your search data, I think it's time to see how these themes play out in real-world cases.
Okay, that sounds good.
We'll use your specific searches as our guide.
Excellent. So let's shift gears.
Yes, let's shift gears.
And dive into the sometimes confusing, always fascinating history of presidential pardons.
This is going to be good. All right, so let's dig into some actual pardon cases, controversies, the real deal and keeping your search terms in mind. One area that really jumps out is this whole idea of family ties.
Oh, yeah?
Potential conflicts of interest. We see searches like, did Nixon pardon his brother, right next to Ivanka Trump pardon?
It's like I'm searching for a pattern, right? Like, have presidents always used pardons to help out their family?
That's a really sharp observation, and it's a question that's been debated forever.
And the sources I've been looking at, do they lean more towards, like, the legality of it or the ethics of it?
It's a good question to keep in mind as we look at these cases. Legally, nothing really stops a president from pardoning family. But ethically, oh boy, it's a minefield.
Makes sense.
Historically.
Huh.
Yeah, these types of pardons, they haven't gone over well. Lots of public scrutiny, accusations of favoritism.
Right, and it's not always about, like, outright corruption either.
No, not always.
Some of my searches, like Ford pardoning Nixon, make me think about pardons being used to, like, smooth things over politically.
Stabilize things.
Yeah, even if it means someone might not be held accountable.
That's a classic example of how pardons get tangled up with the bigger political game, Ford's pardon of Nixon. Super controversial, but maybe, just maybe, it helped the country move on from a really tough time.
You've got me thinking now.
And you've also got searches for Clinton pardons, Mark Rich. What was Scooter Libby pardoned for?
Right.
Those are cases where people really argued about the reasons behind the pardon.
Yeah, okay, so family ties, political maneuvering, those are definitely on my radar. But there's this other group of searches I can't ignore.
Let me guess, January 6th.
Bingo. Searches like Trump pardons January 6th list, Can Biden overturn pardons?
Heavy stuff.
It feels like I'm trying to wrap my head around the legal fallout from that day.
And that's where your searches point to this fascination with the limits of presidential power. Can a pardon cover actions tied to an insurrection?
Can a future president undo those pardons?
These are questions that legal scholars are wrestling with right now.
And then there are the searches for Liz Cheney pardon, Mike Pence pardon.
Adding another layer to the January 6th puzzle.
It's like I'm trying to guess who might need a pardon because of what they did or didn't do that day.
Exactly, and that's what makes your search terms so interesting. They're not just about the past, they're about predicting the future.
Oh, wow.
You're thinking about potential legal battles down the line, and this is where things get really interesting because it points to you thinking about preemptive pardons.
Wait, hold on a sec. I definitely searched for preemptive pardon definition. And is a preemptive pardon legal?
You did.
But we're really suggesting that presidents might pardon people before they're even charged with a crime.
It's not impossible, and your searches show you're already thinking about it. It's rare, but it has happened. President Carter, for example, he gave a preemptive pardon to Vietnam War draft dodgers.
Huh. I didn't know that. So I guess I'm trying to figure out if there's a precedent for using preemptive pardons in situations like January 6th.
Which leads to the big question. What do your sources say about whether preemptive pardons are even allowed, especially in cases that could mess with the peaceful transfer of power?
That's a good way to put it. It's not just about the pardon power itself. It's about how it affects democracy and the rule of law. It's like I'm starting with specific cases, but then getting to these bigger questions about what presidential pardons are really for and how they could be misused.
You're peeling back the layers of a very complicated onion, starting with names and events, but getting to the core of what pardons tell us about power, justice, accountability in our system.
So we've talked about family ties, political scandals, the legal maze of January 6th, and this whole preemptive pardon thing. What's the next layer of the onion? What's next?
Well, you're clearly interested in preemptive pardons and how they might be used in the future.
Sure.
So I think it's time to explore what this means for presidential pardons as a whole, how they might change in our political landscape.
Okay, let's do it. I'm ready to put on my future predicting hat and see what we can learn. All right, so we've traveled through history, dodged political landmines, and landed right in the middle of preemptive pardon territory. But where do we go from here? Like, what does all this tell us about the future of presidential pardons?
Well, one thing that really pops out from your searches is this constant curiosity about the legal limits of this power. You know, you've got searches like, can the Supreme Court overturn a pardon, and limits on presidential pardon power.
I see where you're going with this. It's like I'm sensing this shift. You know, like people are more aware of this pardon power, and they're not just taking it at face value anymore.
Right. Especially after everything that's happened, people seem less willing to accept it as this absolute untouchable thing.
It's like we're not just blindly trusting anymore. We're asking questions.
And that's a good thing. That questioning, that's reflected in the search trends. We're seeing more and more searches for pardon process explain, or how does a presidential pardon work?
People want to understand the nuts and bolts, see where things could go wrong, figure out who's keeping things in check.
Exactly. And it's not just the legal experts or political nerds who are paying attention.
Oh, I see it too in my searches. Things like what happens after a presidential pardon, or can a pardoned person run for office? You know.
Those are questions that everyday people have, which means this isn't just some insider baseball conversation anymore. This is about how our democracy functions.
So pardons are a much bigger deal than we might realize.
They have real consequences for people's lives and for how our government works.
So what does this mean for the future? Are we going to see presidents using this power more or less?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's tough to say for sure. But based on your searches and what we're seeing in general, there are a few scenarios to think about.
Okay, hit me with those scenarios.
Well, one possibility is that presidents become way more careful with pardons, especially when things are politically charged.
You mean less likely to do preemptive pardons or to pardon someone if it looks like they're trying to avoid justice?
Exactly. They'll be more sensitive to how things look to the public, knowing that pardons can backfire big time.
Oh, it's what else?
Another possibility is that we see more legal battles over pardons, with the courts stepping in to set clear limits on this presidential power. You know, you search for, can a pardon be challenged in court, and judicial review of pardons.
Right. So it's not just up to the president anymore. The courts might have a say in how this all works out.
And then there's the wild card scenario.
Uh-oh, this sounds ominous.
What if pardons become even more political? Used as favors for friends, punishment for enemies, or even a way to get around the law entirely.
That's a pretty scary thought, like turning this power into a weapon.
It's a possibility, and given the state of things right now, we can't ignore it. But here's the thing. Those scenarios I mentioned, they're not mutually exclusive. We might see bits and pieces of all of them happening at the same time.
So it's messy, unpredictable. But what can we do about it? How do we make sure this pardon power isn't abused?
It all comes down to awareness, education, and being engaged. When people understand the history, the legal side of things, and the potential for things to go wrong, then we can hold our leaders accountable.
It's a reminder that we're not just sitting on the sidelines. We can shape how our democracy works, even in complicated areas like presidential pardons.
Exactly. And that's why this whole deep dive has been so valuable. It all started with your search terms, but it's turned into something much bigger.
It's been eye-opening, really. We went from simple searches to talking about the very foundation of our legal system and our government.
And as we wrap things up here, I'd encourage everyone listening to keep learning, keep asking those tough questions, and be part of this conversation about presidential pardons.
It's a conversation that matters now more than ever, and it's going to shape the future of our country. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of presidential pardons. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
Today is your lucky day. Today is the day that our $3 website works for you, paying you directly to your PayPal daily. Imagine $3 ongoing continuous payments to your PayPal account. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to $300 in your PayPal account. How would this make you feel? How could this help you? What bills could you pay? What kind of fun could you have? What does that retirement look like now? All for a one-time payment of $3. This website is DFY done for you, fully built and completely hosted, and never stops collecting payments for you. You have spent $3 on coffee on a regular, but that coffee won't help you create multiple streams of income. Click the link below.